Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, please sing a little louder with your heart.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna,
Should be Navanath today. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I welcome all of you to His Holiness Chandramauli Swami daily class. And Maharaj is continuing on Srimad Bhagavatam. And today, Maharaj will be covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Verse 33. Hare Krishna, Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna Jai Ho.
So, I will share the screen, Maharaj, with that same verse, if it's okay with you.
Yeah.
Over to you, Maharaj.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tada sahatyam kanyoyam bhagavad chati koditaha saravastam upadaya chobayam shasrajur yadaha. Translation. When all of these became assembled by the force of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this universe certainly came into being by accepting both the primary and secondary causes of creation. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, it is clearly mentioned that the Supreme Personality of Godhead exerts his different energies into creation. It is not that he himself is transformed into material creations. He expands himself by his different energies as well as by his plenary portions. In the corner of the spiritual sky of the Brahmajyoti, a spiritual cloud sometimes appears, and the covered portion is called the Mahatattva. The Lord then, by his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, lies down within the water of the Mahatattva, and the water is called the causal ocean, Karna Jala. While Mahavishnu sleeps within the causal ocean, innumerable universes are generated along with his breathing. These universes are floating and they are scattered all over the causal ocean. They stay only during the breathing period of Mahavishnu. In each and every universal globe, the same Mahavishnu enters again as Garbhodakshai Vishnu and lies there on the serpent-like Shesha incarnation. From his navel sprouts a lotus stem, and on the lotus, Brahma, the Lord of the universe, is born. Brahma creates all forms of living beings of different shapes in terms of different desires within the universe. He also creates the sun, moon, and other demigods. Therefore, the chief engineer of the material creation is the Lord himself, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:10. It is he only who directs the material nature to produce all sorts of moving and non-moving creations. There are two modes of material creation: the creation and the collective universes. The creation of the collective universes, as stated above, done by Mahavishnu, and the creation of the single universe. Both are done by the Lord, and thus the universal shape, as we can see, takes place. Omagyantimirandasya Gyanajana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Sutarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Paevacha Titaram Bhavane Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here's a description of how the universes are manifested after the interim period where all the living entities merge back into the body of Mahavishnu. And then through the expansion of Mahavishnu in his different forms, there is two aspects of creation. One is called the primary creation, and the other one is the secondary creation. Primary creation is instigated by the Lord himself. The secondary creation is under the guidance of the Lord through his different energies. So those energies in the secondary creation is also an expansion of him, and that manifests itself by Lord Brahma, who takes part in the creation by, as is mentioned here, giving the living entities their bodies according to their previous kalpa, or previous manifestation in the material world, according to their, collective karma. So here, this is nicely described in a very, what we say, succinct, very summarized form, how creation unfolds. But the point here is that all of the ingredients and the activities that make up creation, both are initiated by the Lord himself. It is he is Parasya Shakti Vidhaya Suyate Swabhaviki Jnanam Balakriya Cha. That the Lord doesn't have to do anything. All he has to do is desire, and by that desire, his energies, which work completely under his control, start to manifest to fulfill that desire. So, although he is the initial cause of everything, he does it through his different energies. Therefore, he remains in the background. And that's why people somehow or other cannot understand how things are happening. The scientists and others who are trying to find out the cause of existence, they work with the energies and try to observe the energies and the interaction of the energies. But they have no idea behind the energy is the source of the energy, the initiator of the energy. This is like you're in your room and you want the light to go on, so you go over to the wall and you push the switch, and the light comes on. So you might think the switch is the cause of the light, but actually it's not the switch or the electrical arrangements that make up how the light comes. It is the powerhouse, which is the source of all of the energy that makes everything happen. Without that powerhouse, without that source, there is nothing. All of the nice arrangements that are made up are simply just what they are. They have no use. But the source is the instigator or the force behind everything that happens. So here, this verse really illustrates that all of the different fantastic arrangements of the material universes are all initiated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishwara Parama Krishna Sadchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Govinda Sarva Karna Karnam. He is whatever cause you see, behind it there is the initial cause. So there's always two causes. One is called the remote cause, and one is called the apparent cause, or the initial cause. The scientists, they try to deal with the initial cause. They can't understand behind that there is a force making all of this happen. It's just like when they're trying to understand consciousness. So they speculate and say that just as the body develops, there is a growth in the interaction of the energies within the body, and therefore the body starts to function in different ways. And consciousness also starts to manifest according to the interaction of the energies as the body increases. But that is simply an external view, which doesn't really give you the real clear understanding of how everything is actually initiated. And that's behind everything is the Lord. So consciousness, they can't understand that consciousness actually is coming from the soul, because the body contains within it the life force, which is the living being. Consciousness is manifested. Therefore, they can't measure consciousness simply by their instruments or by the observing of the different interactions within the body. And therefore, just like one time one of our devotees was debating one atheist, very prominent atheist. I can't remember his name. What was his name? Huh? No, not that one. He's written some books. What's his name? I can't remember his name right now. And so there was one devotee from Soho Street in London, and there was other groups that were challenging him. And then they were trying to really bash him by their ideas of God exists, and if you don't believe in God, you're going to go to hell. But that's not an argument at all. That's just some emotional outpouring. But at the end, the moderator who was there, he said to our devotee, "Do you want to ask him any final questions?" And he said, "Yeah." And then he went to and he said to him, "Well, can you explain consciousness?" And the what was his name? I almost got it. He said, "That I can't say." So he admitted it. They can't understand what consciousness, and consciousness is life. And consciousness is a symptom of the soul, not through the interaction of the different parts of the body, which could bring consciousness into being. So they can't understand consciousness. They speculate what consciousness is. They say, just like they have this false idea that you can end the pregnancy of a baby in the womb up to a certain point. After that, the consciousness is developed, and then it's alive. Before then, it's not alive. So they say up to the 7th month, there's no consciousness. But then Prabhupada responded saying, if there's no consciousness, well, how's it developing? If there's no life, how can something develop if there's no life to make it develop? So life starts at the time of conception. As soon as the soul enters into the womb of the mother, it activates the body, and the body starts to grow like that. So consciousness, or the soul, spirit, is the cause of life, and the development of the body through different phases all depends on the consciousness within. So these are, therefore, today's scientific theories, and that's as best as they can say as theories, It's just speculation. That's all. They're always changing their ideas. They study something. They hypothesize about it. They discuss it, write some books, come up with another theory. And then 1 year later, they throw that theory out and come up with another theory. So they say, well, we'll get it sooner or later. But in the meantime, they're giving you something that's not true. So Prabhupada said, yes, post-dated check. Here's $1 million. Right now, I don't have any money, but still, here's $1 million. And in the future, I'll have $1 million and the check will be good. But right now, I don't have any money. So no fool will accept that check. No intelligent person will accept that check, only a fool. So they always talk about in the future. What? Something wrong? Sit on the couch. Pull that thing out. Yeah. It's just a cramp, right? Oh, okay. Okay. We don't want to send you to any clinics. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. So here we have to understand that Ishwar Parama Krishna Satchidananda, he's the cause of all causes. Whatever's happening behind that, there is the remote cause, and that is Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He exerts, as it says here, his different energies, and everything starts to manifest like that. And there is two things. There's the energy and the source of energy. And all they can do is deal with the energy. They can't even understand the energy, what to speak of the source of the energy. But the energy is coming from a source, obviously, just like Prabhupada would use the example. You say, well, the sun is coming into my room. But if the sun came into your room, you wouldn't have a room. It's the sunshine or the energy of the sun which comes into the room. But the sun remains, 93 million miles away. But it's giving that light and heat. So Krishna is behind everything, but he is not perceivable by our senses. Therefore, he is called Ahoksaja or Achyuta. He's beyond the range of the senses. He's beyond our range of our speculations, whatever. But because they can't measure that by their instruments, they either say God doesn't exist, or everything happens by a combination of different energies. That's all. And still, they can't explain the energy. So here we're seeing two parts of the creation. Krishna creates the Mahatattva, and in there the ingredients of the material energy sits there in an aggregate form. And then according to the universal clock, or you might say the eternal clock, then the Lord will manifest that energy into action by glancing over it. And then he interjects the living entities by that glance into the Mahatattva, along with the time factor and also the original Shiva, Sadashiva. And those three ingredients activate everything. Then Brahma, he appears from the Lord again, but this time a different manifestation of the Lord, the expansion of Mahavishnu, which is Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And then he jumps into action. But before he can do anything, he's getting all of his Tene Brahma Yada Adi Kavaya. He gets all of his information directly from the Lord within the heart. That was due to his meditation. And the Lord inspires him, and then he understands who he is, what is his service, and how to carry out that service like that. So Brahma is the secondary creator, just like when Hiranyakasipu wanted to become immortal, he was thinking, I have to offer austerities and offer to the Supreme. So he thought the Supreme was Lord Brahma. And so he was offering his austerities to Lord Brahma, hoping that Brahma would come and give him a benediction. And Brahma did come, but he couldn't give him the complete benediction. He wanted immortality. Devotees understand that immortality is actually easy to attain. In fact, by practicing Krishna consciousness, you actually attain to the level of immortality. That means by realization through the process of execution devotional service, one understands that I am not this body, I am a pure spiritual being, and I'm ultimately part and parcel of the original Supreme Being. And then through the process of service, one starts to understand and realize that they're actually a spiritual being, that they don't die. So when we come to the realization I don't die, the body dies. I'm not the body. But because I'm so much connected to the body, I think I die. But that's just because of the illusion of this connection that manifests in the form of ahankara, or false ego, misidentification with the self as the body. Then whatever happens to the body is happening to me. No, that's not true. Still, but it's like a vehicle. You take care of the vehicle because the vehicle is valuable. It can get you from one place to another. But it's not that you become the vehicle. Sometimes people will have an accident. They'll drive their car and there'll be some crash. And they'll say, "You hit me." No, I didn't hit you. I hit your car. No, you hit me. So they identify so much with the vehicle that they actually think in that way. So in the same way, to detach ourselves from the understanding of who we think we are, that is this body, comes by the process of devotional service and cultivation of spiritual knowledge, of course. And then when the devotee is ready to leave the material world, he understands, yes, I have to give up this body, but I'll be going somewhere else. That's all. I'm in this particular room or this particular house. I want to move and get into another house. So I go out the door and I enter into another place. I'm still the same person, but now I'm in a different tabernacle or a different, enclave. But still, I'm the same person. So we change body. Maya the Vase, Kacho Beishe, Kacho Hao Bubu Dubai. Life after life after life, we're going in and out of different bodies. Karananguru Sangasho, Sadasa Joni Janmashu. And now those bodies are manifested in 3 levels within the material creation. Material creation is so vast, and one can not even understand even a small portion of how great that material creation is, because it is actually Krishna himself manifested through his different energies. I was just reading last night, we were discussing that actually the universes are, this particular universe that we're in is 4 billion miles in diameter, 4 billion miles across, 4 billion miles up and down. It's egg-like, but it's 4 billion miles. But this universe is so small. There are universes that are, what is it called? Crores of miles, like 1 trillion crores. Can you imagine that? 1 trillion crores of space in terms of miles. And in that, there's planetary systems in each one of those universes. We have one planetary system in this universe. But in the other universes, Prabhupada said, this is the smallest of all the universes, the one we're in. So there are Brahmas with 4 heads, that's this universe. And then there's Brahmas would have 8 heads, 10 heads, 100 heads, 10,000 heads, 10 million heads, like that, all the way up. So depending on the size of the universe, then Brahma has that many heads. And also, there's a Shiva for every universe. He's also known as Rudra. He also has so many heads and arms also. That's also manifested according to the size of the universe. So we are really so small. But we think we're so great. That's the problem. But the greatness of our life is the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, when Haridas Thakur was leaving his body, the Lord came to see him, and uh, he said to Haridas, "What is the news?" Haridas, and Haridas said, "My dear Lord, whatever mercy you bestow upon me, that is the news." And that's the most important thing for a devotee, to receive the mercy of the Lord so they can realize, first, they're not this body. Second, that they have an eternal relationship with the Lord. And third, to fulfill that relationship through devotional service or spontaneous devotional service, which means that devotional service that is not, and that is haituki apriyata, that's not broken by time, it's not motivated by personal desire, like that. Okay, so despite all of this phantasmagoria of the, not phantasmagoria, but fantastic arrangements of the material energy, we are all different from all of that. We have the same nature as the Lord. We have no real connection with the material energy, although we are encased in it and affected by it also. It's just like a prisoner inside of a jail that doesn't want to be there, but because of situation, they deal with that situation as being in jail, but it has nothing to do with them because their real life is outside the jail. So our real life is outside of this whole fantastic arrangement by the material energy, and that is in the spiritual world. And that cannot be even described, what to speak of measured. Okay, so these are some points that we can think about.
Thank you, Maharaj, for highlighting the initial beginning of this universe, or maybe different universe. And that signify how insignificant we are.
You
But
caught
also,
you caught the main point.
yeah, but also signify as your last point that how great we could be because we have God mercy, who is the most powerful person. So
Yeah, if you receive the mercy of someone powerful, that makes you powerful. And if you identify that with that mercy as being coming from your own endeavors, that is called illusion or false ego.
I loved one statement, Maharaj. I was hearing one devotee class, and in that somebody asked how you are always happy and smiling. And
Oh,
devotee said, I'm having three regions. These three regions I always meditate, and that always makes me smiling. And answer was first that I love Krishna. Second, this Krishna, who is the most powerful person in this whole manifestation. And third, this is Krishna who only loves me and who is taking care of me. Because this Krishna is only my Krishna. Of course, there are many, but for me, this is only my Krishna. So just these three things, because
yeah, the word is mamata. Mamata. Krishna belongs to me.
yeah. So
Radharani
very
says
nice.
that. Mamata.
So with this
Yeah.
meditation,
that's why what that answers the enigma, the mystery, how when the Christians they say, what is it? That how is that explained? Yeah, just like people in certain religions, they can feel the presence of Krishna or the Supreme Lord by their own devotion, and they think he's only here. He's not anywhere else. Because of their experience, they accept the fact or create this false idea that God is with me and nobody else. Because of the presence of God in the life of the person becomes so influential that they think God is nowhere else. Therefore, the thing is that Christ was the only Son of God. But Prabhupada said, even an ordinary father has more than one son. So they, yeah. So the experience of the presence of the Lord in your life can cause a person to think that he's nowhere else. He's just with me. And that's when they say Christ was the only son. But actually, he was the best son, or one of the best sons. But the Lord has so many living entities that he connects with everybody. When they say that, they're actually don't understand the power of the Lord, that he can be with everyone at the same time and still be in his own spiritual abode in the spiritual world. Mm-hmm. That's God. He doesn't fit into anyone's, categorical analysis.
Yes, Maharaj. But this devotee mood was not that Krishna is not with everyone or anywhere. His mood was just like my Krishna. It's just that feeling that's nothing that.
Yeah, that's love.
That's love. Yeah.
Yeah. Mamata.
So with that, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, request everybody, if you have any questions, comments, realization, please raise your hand or you can type in chat window. I can read on your behalf. Also, my humble request, if you can please switch on your video camera, that will be really nice to interact with Maharaj. Okay.
There's Shakshi and Manisha there. And these two girls here. You guys are together today. Haribo. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All praise to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribo, Manisha. Yeah.
So Maharaj, by the time devotee ask any questions, I will see Lord.
Parikshit's with us today. Haribo, Parikshit. Jai ho.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, we accept our humble obeisances, no brothers to the Prabhupada.
Jai ho. Say something.
Thank you for the very nice lecture. It was just things explained so nicely by you every time that I hear you. I've been a little tied up with some other services because the change is here. So sometimes I'm able to come on, sometimes not. But still, we're hanging in there. Thank you very much for all that you do.
Thanks for being here.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Silpesh Prabhu.
Silpesh has got one.
Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. So Guru Maharaja, you know how we are so insignificant on like the grand scale of universes, but when we have a problem, we think it's so significant, you know, it becomes like, this is my problem and I have to solve it. But how at that time can we step back and realize how grand things are and not to take ourselves so seriously?
Yeah, even your problem is insignificant. Yeah. How can you do that? You just have to realize it. Prabhupada told a story one time. Not story, he made a point by, there was one devotee who was a very senior devotee in our movement. And he was a leader, but he had a tendency to become proud. I mean, he was highly intelligent also, but there was some pride there. So Prabhupada was talking to him, and he went on to say, now, this material world is only 1/4 of the entire existence. The other 3/4 of the spiritual world. 1/4 is the material, 3/4 of the spiritual. In the spiritual world, there are innumerable, unlimited, and immeasurable, uncountable living entities. So now, in that 1/4, which is just a portion of the entire existence, there are unlimited universes. If you read Lagu Bhagavatamrita, you'll find Rupa Goswami explains the magnitude of the universes and and Koti, there are millions and billions of universes which make up the material world. So in those universes, there are so many planets, and on so many planets, there are so many living entities. The universe is not just this Earth. Sometimes people think, well, yeah, here we are, and there are planets out there, but they're just decorations. That's all for the sky. The stars are there just to give us some night visions. But everywhere in creation, there is living entities. So Prabhupada went on to explain that, yes, this is one universe out of billions of universes, and there are innumerable, uncountable living entities. And in that one universe, there's so many planets, and on so many planets, there's so many living entities. And then there is one planet called planet Earth. And on one planet Earth, there are so many uncountable, innumerable living entities. Well, and also there are so many countries on this Earth planet, and in those, there's so many uncountable living entities in the different countries. And then here we are in one country amongst all of these countries, which is the United States of America. And so there are so many millions and hundreds and millions of living entities, and, you know, at least a large number of living entities in the United States of America. And there's so many cities in the United States of America, and therefore there's so many uncountable living entities in these cities. And then there is one particular city called Los Angeles, and there's so many living entities in Los Angeles. And then there's so many streets in Los Angeles, and there's so many uncountable living entities in so many streets. And then there's one street called Watsika Boulevard. This is the place where we had our temple. And there's so many living entities on Watsika Boulevard. And there's so many houses on Watsika Boulevard. And there's one place called the Hare Krishna Temple. And there's one person in the Hare Krishna Temple who's thinking, I'm great. Yeah. So Prabhupada did that. has to put that person into a little out of his illusion. You know? So we are so small. Just like we think, oh, if I die, what will happen to the world? The world will go on, believe me. Your family will go on, your friends will go on, everything else will go on, but you won't. You'll be gone. So if you go, nothing goes, everything. We were thinking, when Prabhupada left, how is this Krishna consciousness movement going to go on? And Prabhupada was really a powerful, very influential instrument in making this happen. But he was a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he disappeared, still Krishna consciousness is going on. Why? Because he was representing the desire of the Lord, and therefore the Lord is behind everything. So the Lord keeps it going because that's his desire. So, we're small. That's why the word jiva means tiny. That's another definition of the word jiva, means tiny. But if we want to become popular, then we get married, and your wife thinks you're so nice, therefore you think you're number one. So you're number one in your limited sphere. And they go to the next house over, and there's another number one over there. So many number ones. This is the fallacy of material existence. It creates these illusions. Yeah, we're small. But still, we have the ability to become fully Krishna conscious and to leave this material world and enter back into the spiritual world. That we have. Because that, by the mercy of Krishna, all of that can manifest. So your greatness in any regard, by definition, is the mercy of the Lord. That's all.
It's our false ego that traps us, doesn't it, in this illusion?
Yeah, the false ego dictates to the mind, and the mind believes it. Yeah, you're important. Don't let anybody tell you not. If they tell you something different, just realize they're an illusion. We're so small. But because we're connected with Krishna, we get so much, intelligence, ability, facility. It's all coming from him through his different mercy channels, especially the spiritual master.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you. So come back to GEV. Next time, I guarantee you, and of course I'm not the Supreme Lord, but I guarantee you your experience will be a step up from the first time.
Definitely, Guru Maharaj, definitely.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Over to you, Vrindavan.
So there is no question, Maharaj, on the chat or
We got,
something, but I will.
we got Sri Devi here. She's
Oh,
sitting.
okay.
She's sitting right somewhere in amongst the universes. I think. So Sri Devi is going to ask a question.
Sure, Maharaj. Mataji, over to you.
If you can stand up, Sri Devi, so they can see you.
Okay.
Yes.
Accept my humble obeisances, Guru Maharaj. All glories to Prabhupada. So my question, Guru Maharaj, is this. We hear about how during the day of Lord Brahma, all these universes come into being, and by night they are annihilated. And this happens again and again and again.
That's a partial annihilation.
Right, partial annihilation. Why is this partial? Why is this happening? Why does it have to happen? In other words, why is Brahma having to create? Then again, by night everything is destroyed. Then again he creates. Then again it destroyed. Why like this?
She's asking, what is the reason why there keeps becoming a creation and a destruction? Because that's the nature of the material energy. Material energy is temporary and goes through different phases. The material energy is asasvatam, which means temporary. So everything in the material energy is also temporary. And so the whole created energy itself is going through changes. So what is this universe made out of? These elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and on the subtle level, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So these things are always, they're mutable, changeable. They're going through different transformations. So if you want something that doesn't change, you go to the spiritual world. There, everything is in its pure spiritual existence. It's expanding, but it's not deteriorating or creating. That's the difference between material and spiritual. Yeah, it says in the Shastras, material energy is endlessly mutable, changeable. Bala,
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, what's your question?
I always have questions, Maharaj. Thank you. Guru Maharaj, one of the things we repeatedly hear is that we have to realize that we are not the body with the spirit soul. This seems like an impossible task, but that is the key, and the word is very important. We don't say invent or we literally we're discovering. We are already that. We just don't know. So why is this so difficult, Maharaj?
Because of our association with the material energy from so many lifetimes. That association is so long-term that it cannot be traced out. There's a term, it's called nitya bada. Nitya means eternal, bada means conditioned. That applies to the living entities in the material world. They're nitya bada, eternally conditioned. But there is no such thing as being eternally conditioned. It's just a statement of long-term. So we can't even trace out when we first came. So life after life after life, we're in different species of life. Karanam guna sango sho sarasa joni janmisa. So we can't even remember our last life, what to speak of the ones before that.
Mm-hmm.
Each life, you're actually, what we say, putting more and more layers on over the consciousness, the pure spiritual consciousness. So depending how deep you are into that material consciousness, that is the element of how difficult it is to realize you're not the body. But it's possible through the process of Krishna consciousness. So we know theoretically, theory is the first step, but it's not, you cannot be saved by theory. Theory is only a principle of knowledge which points you in the right direction. then you have to come to the realization. That comes by the grace of the Lord through the power of your devotional service. Yeah. I'll just give an example. One time I was sitting in a room and I was listening to Srila Prabhupada speaking. It was a class he was giving. And Prabhupada again said that same thing we hear over and over again. You're not this body. So when I heard that, it went beyond the theory for me at that moment. So at that particular moment, which was a quick moment, there was the realization, yes, now I understand I'm not this body. So we get these, what we say, experiences from time to time. And sometimes we realize it, and sometimes we simply accept it by theory. But there are people who have direct experiences, like sometimes during an operation, if the operation can be so severe, even though this person is under the anesthesia, they come out of their body and they watch the operation from a different place in the same operating room. They can see themselves, their body being operated on. It's an out-of-body experience. Yeah. So when we go to sleep at night, we have an out-of-body experience also. But we can't register it because we're not aware of it.
Yes.
So there's sometimes people die and they don't die. They somehow go through an experience and then they get thrown back into their body again. And they can remember the experience of dying and then coming back also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Guru Maharaj, that one moment that you said you realized when your Guru Maharaj was speaking to you and you realized it, was that obviously that was given to you by the grace of Krishna? Was that through your long...
Well, yeah, it is the grace, but when your consciousness is in the right position and you hear the truth,
Yeah,
it goes beyond theory.
Yes, so I was asking the question. So you had prepared yourself
I
through
just
long
happen to be,
devotion,
I just happen to be in the right consciousness
right?
to
Consciousness. Okay.
hear, yeah. And in other words, I was completely receptive.
Receptive.
Yeah. If you hear this knowledge in a complete receptivity, you go beyond theory, actually. We have to learn that. That's an art also. But it's also something that develops by repetition also.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is the second point. Both points are amazing, Maharaj. That's good to know. Very hopeful, and receptivity it's not going to come from drinking every night. So you also have devotional service, right? Yeah. So probably devotional service and putting yourself in the right association and putting yourself in the right place.
Well, there are people who take intoxication and also experience out-of-body experiences also. That's possible through intoxication also.
Yeah.
Because there is a place in the mind called the pineal gland. I don't know if you heard of that gland. It's in the mind.
I have heard of that. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, it's that gland, though it's a physical thing, connects you to the higher powers. When the pineal gland is cleansed, you're more open to higher knowledge.
Yeah, I've heard the LSD people do that, like that, especially back in your day.
It takes you to a different element, an area of the mind where all of the conceptions of life are lost. and you're in a space where now you start to see things differently. But, there are people who take drugs and they also have, spiritual experiences. And Prabhupada talked about that. He said, but it's artificial. Because if you're depending on the drug, then it's artificial. But it may not always happen like that.
Right.
But you can come to that same realization through elevating yourself beyond the three modes of material nature. You can see things. You can just watch this whole material world working, and at the same time you can see yourself separate from everything that's happening around you.
Wow.
But because we have desire, material desire, we're connected to something. Therefore, we identify that. When we leave the world of material desire, then we're in a position to see things as they are. Everything is moving by the hand of the Supreme Lord. We have nothing to do with it.
Sounds wonderful, Maharaj, to be there.
It's true. That's the position of ultimate peace.
Yes. Yes. Isn't it also what they say when they say, once you realize that it is the end of suffering, because it's not that you won't get physical suffering, but you know something that will prevent you from suffering.
Yeah, and you can understand that. Well, I'm not suffering, my body is. Because I'm connected with my body, there is some identification. But it's not me.
Wow.
Prabhupada talks about Stalin. Stalin had such a strong mind. Because he was one of the greatest demons in the history of the world.
That is correct. He killed the most people. Yeah.
He killed, he at least killed 30 million people of his own country. But one time he had to go for an operation, and they were going to give him an anesthesia. He said, "No, I want to watch the operation." So he did. So they were operating, but he had such a strong mind that he wasn't so much affected by what was happening. So the power of the mind also can help to elevate one beyond the ordinary. So Krishna, we were talking about this in class this morning. I was giving class to the Russians. And we were saying a devotee has strong mind, soft heart.
Ah.
Not soft mind and strong heart.
That is evil.
That's a mess. And Prabhupada said that about himself. He said, I have a mind of an English army officer and the heart of a Bengali mother. But Bengali mothers are very nice.
They're round and they're nice, Maharaj.
Especially Bengalis. Yeah, so that we make the mind strong by transcendental knowledge and by discussing this knowledge with others. Then your mind will become really strong. Last night I was with one of my senior godbrothers. We were reading together. And we were reading and discussing what we were reading. And it was really inspiring because as soon as you start discussing, you start opening up so many ideas on what you're reading that are related to what you're reading. And so that's recommended by Krishna. He said, Bodhyantas paraparam kutyantas chamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me. They derive great satisfaction and happiness in enlightening one another and conversing about me. So we talk about Krishna with others. Yeah. And when we do it with Shastra, then it becomes really, really a nice experience. We start to understand the Shastra more clearly. Because we can read, but that doesn't mean we understand.
Mhm.
We're skimming the surface. But to go deep, that comes by discussion.
Maharaj, the one sentence you used there was amazing. I've heard that before, that particular verse. But did you say that he's not saying they are thinking about me? He's saying your thoughts dwell in me?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, your thought. Yeah. That's from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse number 9. You can read it, 10:9 in Bhagavad Gita.
I will, Maharaj. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure if you read the purport, it'll expand the meaning even more.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Yeah, there you are. Thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to me. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. Yeah.
Indeed.
But yeah, so there's a nice purport there.
Lovely.
Bring your friends together and start talking about Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj.
So what you can do is you can have a Krishna night where you just talk about Krishna.
Yes. I sneak in conversations all the time. They listen.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because they trust you. That's why.
Yes, that's true, Maharaj.
That's good. Yeah.
That's a good way to connect, Maharaj, because that's my personal relation also. One of the devotee who is coming in Friday satsang in my home, or I should not say my home, but like in the satsang. So he is having many friends in India and Bangladesh. And he said that they cannot connect because of the time difference. But what happens, whatever we discuss, he discuss the same with his friends.
Yes.
And then like many questions, things comes, and then he answers, like he asks those questions to me in offline mode. And then that's the way,
Nice.
like he also learning and we are also learning.
Yeah. It sharpens the intelligence, expands the mind, and helps us to go deeper into bhakti. Yes, with Shakshi, Manisha.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, does it happen that the soul leaves the body and then returns to it after 3-4 hours?
The reason why I'm laughing is I was just recently in Pune and I was with some devotees. They said, Maharaj, something amazing happened yesterday. One man, he died in, what was it, Kolhapur? Kolhapur. He died. So they put him in an ambulance and they were taking his body away. And the roads in India are pretty rocky, So the ambulance hit a hole or something and it really bounced and the guy came back to life. It was in the newspapers, yeah. So don't criticize the roads anymore. Yeah, we made the headlines. He died. He was dead for a few hours or more, and then all of a sudden they hit a hole and he was back. So sometimes the soul hovers over the body because of the attachment to the body. It tries to get back into the body sometimes. But if its time is up, it can't get back into the body. If it dies prematurely, there is a chance it can return also. because everyone has their date of departure. It's written. But sometimes because of circumstance, one may leave earlier. Or if Krishna extends your life, you may also leave later. But everyone has their destiny like that. But that's material. So yes, that's why when someone departs, in order to push the soul away from the body, we have kirtan. And that will move the soul out away from the body and onto its next destination. So, yeah, it's recommended to have kirtan. Because if the attachment for the body is very strong, then soul will sometimes try to get back in the body. When the demigods were fighting with the demons, and the demigods were killing the demons, Maya Donovan, who was a mystic yogi, and he was also working for the demons, he would take their body and throw it into this elixir. It was like a fountain. And then they would come back from the dead and start fighting again. So yeah, sometimes souls go in and out. That's possible.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Actually, my mother told me about an incident, so that's why I asked this question.
Your mother told you about what I said?
No, my mother told me an incident like that.
Somebody
That
came,
body go.
somebody
Yeah.
came back again. Yeah, it's
Yes.
possible to come back. Well, who wants to come back? Come back to the same problems.
Yes. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Can I just quickly ask one question in connection to Manisha Mataji's question?
Okay.
Is it someone's attachment brings the person back, sometimes the soul back? Can that be?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Because my mom came back because of my mom's grandmother was there and holding her hand. She didn't let her body go before. When she was a baby, she actually died. And then she came back after 3 hours.
Yeah, it's possible. It's due to attachment.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
After hearing this class, many devotee will keep the body for 3 hours, thinking that it may come back.
At
Sorry,
least.
Maharaj, just like
Sometimes people are there, but they're not even there. So it looks like they're alive, but they're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we end here.
yes, Maharaj, like it's there, but it's already 15 minutes over. Unless any last questions, comments from anybody?
I don't have a question. I have a very quick comment. It looks to me
Please,
like
Prabhu.
Sridevi Mataji is not in a digital Zoom box. She seems to be physically embodied behind Maharaj. Yeah.
She seems to be what? Physically what?
Physically embodied right behind you.
Yeah, she's there. Somadatri's here.
Wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Mahaprabhu also.
Yay.
Yes, Tej is here. Tej is also here.
Haribol.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Bala, come on, you can join then we'll have Panchatattva.
No, Maharaj.
Or Panchabhuta.
Yeah, right. That's better.
Thank you. Thank you. Vrindavana. So we'll see you all tomorrow for continuation of our discussion.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this amazing discussion today. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Anant Koti
Jai.
Vaishnava Vrind ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you
Jai.
very much.
Sunday,
Maharaj
Hare
ki jai.
Guru Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai.
Thank you
Krishna.
so much, Guru
So much, Guru
Maharaj. Hare
Maharaj. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Guru
Hare
Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Prabhupada ki jai.